ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नमः श्री शंकरानंद नमः श्री शंकरानंद गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने सविलास महामोह सविलास महामोह ग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे ग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे। It was said that it is Maya that creates these ideas of both Jiva and Ishvara, the creator and the created, or the ruler and the ruled, the Lord and the individual. These ideas in fact are created by Maya, meaning Maya presents that awareness or Brahman as the Jiva, same Maya presents Brahman as Ishvara. And therefore, both of them have only a relative reality, meaning both of them are mithya, and the truth is kutastha. Kutastha means the changeless witness consciousness. And this is what we are presenting here. It says we are not presenting any reasons to prove this, but we are presenting the vision of the Shruti here, because that is what the seeker of knowledge should concern himself or herself with. Shrutyartham vishadīkurmah na tarkād vatmi kinchana tena targakashankanam atra kova sarovada. Says, how come you are all the time quoting the statements of the Upanishads in support of what you are saying, rather than proving what you are saying with by arguments? He says, our intention is not to prove or arrive at the truth by argument, because the only pramanam, the only valid means of knowledge for the truth is Upanishad, and therefore what we are doing here is explaining or clarifying the meaning of these statements of the Upanishad. Tasmat kutarkam santyajya mumukshuhu shrutimāśrayet. Therefore, a mumukshu or a seeker of knowledge, what that person should do? Kutarkam santyajya. Give up all fallacious arguments, or give up the arguments for the sake of arguments, or give up even the insistence that a given thing should be proven by argument. Shrutimāśrayet. May he take refuge of the Shruti of the Upanishadic statements and see, of course, the reasonability. The point is, it is not that we arrive at the truth by reasoning, but the truth that is revealed by the Shruti is reasonable. That's the reason why, where do we apply the logic, or where do we apply reasoning in Vedanta, is to show how the statements of the Shruti make sense, how they explain our experiences in life. And this is how it is not that we arrive at or prove what the Shruti says, but we only can show the reasonability of what the Upanishad says. What the Upanishad reveals is able to explain the various experiences in our life, is able to explain our life. And therefore, what Upanishad reveals is reasonable. It's not a product of reason, but it is reasonable. And therefore, our attention is on Shruti and not on reason. It is not that we can prove. Questions are often asked when we are experiencing duality all the time. How can you say that Brahman is non-dual? When the world is very much a matter of experience, how do you say it is unreal? If the world, and how can Brahman be one? How do you say that Brahman is without any attributes when we are constantly experiencing attributes? So these questions arise. We say that, rather than asking, how can you say that the reality is non-dual? That the reality of the truth is devoid of all the attributes or all the limitations. How do we say that? Instead of saying this, ask this question. How do you say that the world of duality is? How do you say that these attributes and the limitations are real? So rather than starting from our experience of duality and attempting to arrive at non-duality, the method that the Upanishads employs always start from the non-dual and show how the duality came into being. So Upanishad starts like this: Sadeva Somi idamagrasid ekameva dvitiyam. This whole universe, which is diverse, full of duality, was before its creation this Brahman of the truth, one without a second. That's how it starts, and then shows how the whole duality is projected. So you do not arrive at the substratum from the projection. You try to arrive at the projection from the substratum. If you start with the snake, you can never arrive at the rope. If what I perceive is a snake, there is no way that you can arrive at the rope, which is the reality of the snake. But when you first start from the rope, then you will be able to see how snake is a superimposition or projection. And so it is not that we try to arrive at and understand the duality and our experiences based on the truth that is revealed by the Upanishad and not the other way around. Therefore, mumukshuhu shrutimāśrayet. It is best to start where the Shruti, what the Upanishad reveals, and then try to understand our life. Shrutau tu maya jiveshu karotu iti pradarshidam. Shruti or Upanishad says that the creation is mithya. Mithya means it is unreal. Jiva, the individual, also is part of creation, therefore he is also unreal. And therefore the whole idea of creator also is equally unreal. So the creation, the creator, all of them enjoy the same degree of reality. If the creation is unreal, then the creator also is unreal, of the same degree of reality. This is what the Shruti reveals, and keeping this in mind, understand that the whole universe is created by these two, Ishvara and Jiva, both of which are projections by Maya. Ikshanadi praveshanta srishtihi ishakrita bhavet jagradadi mokshantah samsarah jiva kartrukah. That this whole creation of the objective reality, as we say, is all by Ishvara, the Lord. And what we call the subjective reality, pratibhasik satta, is all the creation of Jiva. Dream is a subjective reality. That snake is a subjective reality. Rope is the objective reality. And the snake is subjective reality. Rope also is mithya and snake also is mithya. However, there are degrees in mithyatvam. That the rope also is unreal, all right, but still it is what we call the objective reality, in as much as everyone perceives a rope as rope. Whereas somebody perceives a rope as snake, then it is a further superimposition, which is what we call the subjective superimposition. And thus the samsara is nothing but mithya or superimposition, and kutastha or the self is the reality. In this manner, may one all the time constantly contemplate, deliberate. असंगः एव कूटस्थः सर्वदा नास्ति कश्चन भवत्यसि अतिशयस्तेन मनस्येवं विचार्यताम्. That in and through all this creation which is unreal, asangah eva kutastha. Kutastha, the self or the changer is changeless, is real. Nasya kaschana atishayah bhavati. This kutastha does not undergo any change or modification such as birth, death or growth. He is free from every modification, is ultimate, irreducible reality. Manasi evam vicharitam. May the seeker of knowledge dwell upon this, deliberate upon this truth constantly. So far we did last time on Saturday in verse 70. Now we proceed to verse 71. Question is, Kutasthasya Janmadi Atishayabhavah Kutah Avagamyate. Alright, you say that Kutastha, the self, is devoid of modifications such as birth, death, growth. Kutah Avagamyate. Where do we get this? Meaning, what is the source based on which you say that Kutastha is free from any modifications? Iti Ashankya Shrutivakya. The answer is from the statement of the Shruti. There is an Upanishad called Atma Upanishad. And the verse that is quoted here also is a verse that appears in a text called Mandukya Karika. There is a Mandukya Upanishad upon which Gaudabada Acharya, a teacher, has written Karika, explanatory verses, and this verse it also appears in Karika. Says verse 71. न निरोधो न चोत्पत्तिः न निरोधो न चोत्पत्तिः न बद्धो न च साधकः न बद्धो न च साधकः न मुमुक्षुर्न वै मुक्तः न मुमुक्षुर्न वै मुक्तः इत्येषा परमार्थता इत्येषा परमार्थता इति एषा परमार्थता. This is the truth. What is the truth about the self? Or what is the truth of the Kutastha? Na nirodha. Nirodha means destruction or death. There is no death or destruction for Kutastha. Nacha utpatti. Utpatti means creation. There is no creation for Kutastha. Meaning Kutastha is not subject to destruction, Kutastha is not subject to creation. Na baddha. How about the one who is bound? He says, no, Kutastha is not bound. There is no bondage for Kutastha. Nacha sadhaka. There is no seeker also. The Kutastha is not the seeker also. Na mumukshuhu. Not even an aspirant for liberation. There is none. Na muktaha. In reality, there is no. The idea is in reality there is no creation or birth. In reality there is no death or dissolution. In reality there is no seeker. In reality there is no aspirant of liberation. In reality there is no mukta or even liberated one. Iti esha paramarthata. In reality means there is no absolute reality to any of them. All of these are what we call mithya or the relative reality. Kutastha, which is absolute reality, is devoid of any kind of change or any attributes or any association. So what is this person who is bound? If you say that self is kutastha or changeless, isn't the self bound? He says no. There is no bound person. Then the bondage is mithya, is unreal. And therefore that baddha, the one who is bound, also is unreal. Muktaha, similarly also liberation is of the same degree of reality as bondage. And therefore muktaha, one who is liberated, that also is unreal. Because kutastha, had it been bound, then alone kutastha could be liberated. So liberated person is the one who knows that there was no bondage. If a person feels that now he or she is liberated and formerly one was bound, that means that the nature of liberation has not been understood. The nature of liberation is to understand, know that I was never bound, that the bondage was a brahma or it was a notion. And therefore nirodha, what we call death or destruction or birth, all of these are at the level of upadhi, meaning at the level of creation, meaning they enjoy what we call a relative reality. Or all of this is an appearance. Like creation being an appearance, the birth, death, bondage, liberation, aspiration, all of these are but only relative, meaning all of them are unreal. Iti esha paramarthata. This is what the Shastra says. Therefore we say that kutastha or the self is changeless. Asanga. Asanga means unconnected. Unconnected to bondage, unconnected to liberation, unconnected to anything. He is merely the witness and illuminator of all these notions. This is paramarthata. This is the absolute reality. So there is only one reality, that's it, and that is kutastha. There is nothing else. Nanu tarhi shrutishu tatra tatra jiveshwaradi swarupa pratipadanam kimartham. If you say that there is no creation, there is no dissolution, there is no bondage, there is no liberation, then how come you find in the Upanishads elaborate descriptions on creation? Shrutishu tatra tatra. We also find elaborate description on how this jiva came into being. Upanishads also describe, just as the sparks, number of sparks emerge from the fire, so also the jivas or individual self emerge from Brahman. Or other Upanishads describe this jiva as how the Lord created all these upadhis or the body, mind, intellect, equipment, and how he entered and how he now appears as jiva. So how come you find elaborate descriptions of jiva, Ishvara, creation and all of this in the Upanishads? What is the purpose of that? Iti ashankya avang manas gocharasya atmanah avabodhanaya. Because the answer is that since Atma, the Kutastha, is not within the scope of words, or not even within the reach of the mind. Since Kutastha or the self, who is the witness? Because of which the mind is. Yan manasana manude, yan ahur manomatam. That which cannot be comprehended by the mind, but that because of which the mind comprehends. That which cannot be revealed by the speech, but that because of which the speech is able to reveal. And therefore, Kutastha or the self is beyond the scope of the mind of the words. So how do you reveal that? For that alone, this adhyaropa and apavada, superimposition and negation, that is the method that is applied by the Shruti. So when they talk of adhyaropa or superimposition, in that process, the Upanishads and the Vedantic scriptures talk of creation, as we see in the morning in Vedanta Sara, how superimposition is being described very elaborately in order to explain our experiences. So superimposition of creation and all of that is described in order to try to explain our experiences and to show the unreality of the creation. So that it can be then negated as unreal. So avang manasa gocharasya atmanah avabodhanaya. So whatever descriptions we find in the Upanishads of Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, all of these are for avabodhanaya, for making us see or know the truth of the Atma or Kutastha, who is beyond the words and the thought. That is being said in the verse 72. Avang manasagamyam tam shrutir bodhayitum sada jivamisham jagadvapi samashritya prabodhayed. Avang manasagamyam tam kutastham, that kutastha or the Atma, avang manasagamyam, that which is not within reach of the words or the mind, tam shruti bodhayitum sada, Shruti or the Upanishad, in order to reveal the nature of that self, even though it is not within the scope of words, we should know that the self does not require to be revealed by the Shruti. We do not require Upanishad to reveal the self, because self is self-revealing. What is the role that the Upanishads play with reference to revealing the nature of truth is to remove only the notions. Self always shines as the very eye, as the very self it shines. Kutastha shines as the very self. It is self-revealing. So we don't require eyes to see it because it is known. We don't even require the mind to think about it because I know without any effort that I am, that I exist and that I am aware. All of this is known without an effort. So no effort is needed to know the self because it is self-revealing. Effort is needed, pramana or means of knowledge is needed in order to know the objects other than the self, because they are all jada or inert, and so they require consciousness to reveal them, but Atma being self-effulgent does not require any means of knowledge to reveal it. Then what is it that the Shruti does? Atadharma adhyaropa. There is going on at the moment an adhyaropa, or superimposition upon the self of the attributes to the non-self. So therefore many complexes or notions are being entertained about the self today, that I am a limited being, that I am a samsari, and all that Upanishad does is to show the fallacy of these notions. That you are not a samsari, that you are not limited, you are not tall, you are not short, you are not fat, you are not lean, you are not happy, you are not unhappy. It keeps on negating. Because I think that I am happy, Shruti says you are not. I think I am unhappy, says no. I think I am tall, I am short, I am this, I am that. All these notions are negated. Shruti shows how these notions arise on account of identification with the upadhi. And therefore, in order to show the mithyatvam, all that the Shruti does is, number one, to show the mithyatvam or unreality of samsara. That samsara, that I think I am a samsari, I am suffering, or I am limited, I am inadequate, that itself is mithya. The sense of inadequacy itself is false. And Shruti all the time shows the fallacy or unreality of that. For showing the unreality of our notions, it is necessary to talk about creation, talk about how the body came into being, how the mind came into being. Then, therefore, the Shruti talks about creation, therefore talks about the Creator, talks about Jiva. All of this the Shruti talks about in order to explain our experiences and show the falsehood of the samsara, show the unreality of creation and unreality of what we call the sense of inadequacy. So, Jivamisham Jagadvavi Samashritra Prabodhe. Therefore, Shruti takes the support or takes the help of the description of Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara and whatever in order to reveal the nature of truth. Nanu tattvasya ekarupasya shruti-bodhyatve shrutishu viganam kuto drishyate. If you say that the truth is one and that every Upanishad reveals the truth which is one alone, Satyam Jnanamanantam or Satchidananda, if that is the truth, and every Upanishad has its subject matter or the theme to reveal the same truth, Shrutishu Viganam Kuto Drishyate. Then how come you find every Upanishad different from every other Upanishad? And every Upanishad seems to describe the same thing in different ways. How is it so? How come every Upanishad seems to describe different things? Looks to us that every Upanishad, the theme or the subject matter of different Upanishads is different. Says, na tattve viganamasti. Says, no, there is total concurrence among the Upanishad about the nature of truth that the Upanishad revealed. That Brahman, the limitless, is the subject matter of all the Upanishads. That every Upanishad reveals the identity of Jiva and Brahma, in that there is no variation at all. But the Upanishad vary from one another in what? Apitu tad bodhana prakare. Every Upanishad seems to have its own approach in making the student see the truth. Upanishad is a teaching tradition. Therefore, it is a dialogue between the teacher and the student. And the concern that the teacher has is to make the student see the truth. It is not only enough for the Upanishad that they reveal the truth and leave the students to work it out themselves, but this is very important. The Upanishad is a dialogue between the teacher and the student. And therefore, depending upon the kind of the student, every teaching is going to be unique. So every teacher of the Upanishad teaches the same theme, but depending upon the kind of the student, the manner in which the approach that the Upanishad teacher chooses varies from the other ones, because every student is a unique person. Apitu tad bodhana prakare. Therefore, the approaches or the methods that are employed by the Upanishads are different. The models the Upanishads imply, or the approaches the Upanishads have, they are different, but then all of them they have they concur, they have concurrence as far as revealing the nature of truth. Apitu tad bodhana prakare. Tadapi bodhya purusha chitta vaishamya anusarena. And therefore the prakara or the method of communication varies from teacher to teacher, from audience to audience. In fact, you have to listen to the same teacher addressing different kinds of audiences, and you will find that one teacher unfolds the same thing differently to different audiences. We find ourselves doing that. In fact, I remember that at one point in time, several years ago, there was one verse from Bhagavad Gita which I happened to talk about in 3 different classes. And all the audience in every class was different. And therefore that verse automatically gets unfolded differently depending upon the kind of audience or listeners that you have. Because a teacher addresses people. He is not a tape recorder that makes general declarations, and therefore he wants to see that the listeners or the students understand. The job of the teacher is to make them see. And therefore, we find that every Upanishad follows almost or as though a different approach. As we said in the morning, that Taittiriya Upanishad presents what we call Paṃcakosha Prakriya. The Atma Anatma Viveka or discrimination of the self and the non-self is done by Paṃcakosha. The non-self is looked upon as consisting of the 5 sheets. Mandukya Upanishad has an approach or method which is called avasthatra, the three states of awareness: waking, dream, and deep sleep. And with reference to those experiences, Mandukya Upanishad reveals the nature of the self. And thus every Upanishad has its own unique method of revealing the same truth depending upon the kind of students there are. Tadapi bodhya purusha chitta vaishamya anusarena, in keeping with the state of the mind, in keeping with the background, in keeping with the problems that the particular student has. And therefore, which one is best? We are saying that somebody employs what we call the Pratibhimbavada, the model of reflection. Somebody Avachedavada, the model of what we call the Ghatakasha, the conditioning of the space. So these different models are used. Which one is best? In this regard, this is called a prakriya. Prakriya means a process or a method. So in Vedanta there are many prakriyas that are employed. Like here in the morning we will see that Ajnanam is described as ignorance itself is a prakriya. Adhyaropa is a prakriya. Superimposition is a prakriya, is a method. Giving the illustration of rope snake is a model that is presented to us to illustrate what is meant by mithya. How snake is a creation, all right, but mithya creation. And thus the rope snake is a model. The reflection is a model. The pot space is a model. The clay and the pot. Chandogya Upanishad says, Vacharambhanam vikaro namadhyam mritrika etyeva satyam. That whatever is made from clay, for example, like pots and jars, all of them are mithya, and clay alone is real. So different teachers give different kinds of illustrations, depending upon the kind of students in front of them. Which one is best? In that, a very important statement is made by a teacher known as Sureshwaracharya. We have mentioned a number of times, and this is a verse quoted from his work, verse 73. Yaya yaya bhavet pumsam, yaya yaya bhavet pumsam, vyutpattif pratyagatmani, vyutpattif pratyagatmani, sa saiva prakriyeha syad, sa saiva prakriyeha syad, sadvityacharya bhashidam, sadvityacharya bhashidam. Yaya yaya bhavet pumsam vyutpattihi pratyagatmani. Yaya yaya prakriya, by whichever method, by whichever prakriya, or by whichever model, or by whichever method, pumsam pratyagatmani vyutpattihi bhavet. That the people will have vyutpatti, that the people will have the knowledge of pratyagatma, the inner self. The word pratyak and atma is a very beautiful word. Pratyak is prati dvaitasya pratirodhenaiva anchati yathavat prakashati pratyak. Prati and ach. So that which shines in a contrary manner. The whole duality shines, and that which shines contrary to duality shines as non-dual, and that which is the very self is called pratyagatma, the inner self. And what is atma? The word atma, somebody asked me this question recently, Swami, what is the meaning of the word atma? How is the word derived? Atma means the self. But the word atma can be looked upon as derived in different ways. Yachapnoti yadadatte, yachapti vishayaniha, yachasya santado bhavaha, tasmad atmeti bhanyate. Atma is that which apnoti, which pervades everything. Adatte, that which resolves everything into itself. Yach atti, that which witnesses everything. Yachasya santado bhavaha, that because of which this whole universe has a continuous existence. So this is how the word atma. So pratyagatma, that which is inner as well as the self. So by whichever method the students will come to know the self, sa saeva prakriyaya syat sadhi. Well, that method is the right method. Which is the best method? That method by which one comes to know the truth, that is the best method. It doesn't matter what method you apply. Which vada or which prakriya is best? No prakriya is best. Every prakriya is good. Every prakriya or every model somehow is revealing to somebody. There are people who have found a great inspiration from this method of, from the model of reflection. There are others who got great inspiration from, the space and the conditioned space. Some people find this example of rope and snake very revealing. Some people find the 10th man story very fascinating, Every time we talk of the 10th man and the story, something new always comes out. And therefore, or very often people will tell the story of that cow, how the cow was tied and untied. It's very revealing. So sometimes some of these stories just reveal and click. So that by which the truth clicks to you, that is the right prakriya, that's all. And therefore, although the people debate among themselves that our model is better and somebody else's method is better, whichever method by which we understand, well, that is the best method and that is the right method. And therefore, there should be no unnecessary method of presentation is different. And it doesn't matter what the method of presentation is, because whichever method makes you see, that is the best method. If this is so, Shrutyarthasya eka rupatve, if the Shruti Artha, if what the Shruti reveals is one thing alone, tat pratipadakānām eva kuto vipratipattihi, then how come you find various teachers of Vedanta presenting truth in different ways? We call Vedanta means Advaita Vedanta. Vedanta means Upanishad. Very same Upanishads are interpreted by different teachers in different ways. So Shankaracharya and all his followers have seen in Vedanta the truth which we call the non-dual. There are other teachers who talk of the conditioned non-duality, Vishishta Advaita, qualified non-duality. There are other teachers who see in the Upanishad Dvaita, duality. There are other teachers who see in the Upanishad Dvaita, Advaita, duality, non-duality. So how come these different teachers seem to come out with different kind of interpretations if the Upanishads reveal only the same truth? Or sometimes the text also, even within the Advaita also, even within the tradition of the Advaita or the non-duality, there are teachers who differ from each other in prakriyas. And so some different opinions are held as to whether this method is better or some other method is better. And how come we find this kind of vipratipattihi? How come we find this kind of differing opinions or contradictory opinions among teachers? Iti asankya shruti tatparya bodha sunyanameva vipratipattihi. This kind of contradictions or opposing opinions or contradictory opinions will be held only by those who have not understood the purport of the Upanishad. Now tad vidam, but those who know the purport of the Upanishad, they don't have any questions at all. They know the truth is one. As we said, Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya, Jiva Brahmaiva Naparaha. That Brahma is real, Jagat of creation is Mithya, and what we call Jiva is none other than Brahman. This is the truth, and in which they don't have any doubt. That's being said in the verse 74. Shrutitatparyamakhilam, Shrutitatparyamakhilam, Abuddhva Bhramyate Jadaha, Abuddhva Bhramyate Jadaha, Viveki Tvakhilam Buddhva, Viveki Tvakhilam Buddhva, Tishthatyanandavaridhau, Tishthatyanandavaridhau. Shruti Tatparyam Akhilam Abuddhva Bhramyate Jadaha. Jada means inert, dull-witted. A person of dull intellect, Bhramyate, he is deluded, he is confused or deluded. See, confusion is different, delusion is different. Bhrama or delusion is to take the wrong thing to be right. So people of dull intellect, they think that what they have understood is right. Shruti Tatparyam Akhilam Abuddhva. When they do not understand the Tatparya, the purport of the Upanishad, then only these dull-witted people, Bhramyate, they get deluded. Viveki du Akhilam Buddha. On the other hand, Viveki, a discriminatory person. Akhilam Buddha, knowing the Shruti entirely, Upanishad entirely, Tishtati Anandavaridhau. As far as Viveki or a discriminative person is concerned, the idea is that in order to understand the Tatparya, the purport of Upanishad, we require Viveka, a sense of discrimination. And therefore also it is necessary that we expose ourselves sufficiently to the teaching of Vedanta, and preferably then alone expose our mind to other kinds of teaching, so that we don't get confused. Very often students go to different teachers, particularly when you are in a place like New York or whatever it is, and every 15 days somebody comes there. I don't know about New York, but if you go to a place like Bombay, there are 3 places where the discourses are going on, and there are some people who every day go for satsang and listen to different people, and they listen to everybody. Krishnamurti also is fine. Whoever comes, they go and listen to them. And tremendous confusion happens in their mind because they have not developed that maturity to be able to see what is it because of which these people differ, or where the differences are, which is it that should be accepted and which is it that should be rejected. So only when we develop the maturity of what to accept and what to reject, then alone it would be fine to expose ourselves to different kinds of teaching. Otherwise, a tremendous confusion can be created. In any case, when people try to independently study Upanishads themselves, also a lot of confusion is created. As Shankaracharya says, Shastrajñopi swatantrena brahmanveshanam na kuryat. Even if you are well versed in scriptures, meaning in knowledge, in grammar and in logic and every way you are well versed, then also you should never dwell into investigation upon Brahman by yourself. You must always go to the teacher. So when people do not have the benefit of a proper teaching tradition or whatever it is, then they come up with different kinds of interpretation, different kinds of ideas. Viveki too, however, the one who is Viveki or a discriminative person, Akhilam Buddha, understanding properly the purport of the Upanishad, Tishtati Anandavaridhau. He is only Ananda. Ananda means fullness. That's all the Upanishads reveal. Purnamadaha, Purnavidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate. Adaha, that Brahman also is Purna. Idam Jiva also is Purna. Idam Jagat also is Purna. Everything is Purnam, complete or whole. How do you say? Purnat, Purnamudachyate. Because Brahman is the original cause and that is complete. And from the complete, complete alone can come out. Complete can never give rise to incomplete thing. So even Jiva, even though I find that I am incomplete or inadequate, that incompleteness has to be false, and in truth, the even Jiva also has to be complete. I feel that Jagat or the creation also is incomplete or limited. It cannot be, meaning the incompleteness or limitation is only an appearance, is a projection, and completeness alone is the truth. This is what the Upanishad reveals, and when the Viveki or a discriminative person understands this, Tishtati Anandavaridhau, he dwells, abides in completeness or fullness, which is Ananda. Varidhi means ocean. Anandavaridhi, the ocean of fullness. So Viveki or an enlightened person, a discriminative person, he doesn't get affected by all these different vadas. And again in Mandukya Karika, Gaudapadacharya says that it is this Dvaitinaha, these dualists who come up with different kinds of interpretations of the text, and they always quarrel with one another. Parasparam viruddhyante, tairayam na viruddhyate. People, different contenders, they always contradict each other and always have quarrel with one another. Vedantin does not have quarrel with anybody at all. Like those blind men, they quarrel with one another regarding what is the nature of an elephant. But a person who sees an elephant has no quarrel at all. And he has no quarrel with blind people also, because he knows why. What is it that makes these people arrive at the conclusion they have arrived at? So really Vedantin will be able to understand why somebody says this and why somebody says something. From which standpoint they are looking. So when a blind man says that elephant is like a column, then you know very well that is taking the leg of an elephant is an elephant. Or when he says the elephant is like a wall, then you know that the body of the elephant is taken as a wall, as elephant. And therefore, you don't have any quarrel with anybody. So really, Advaitin or the non-dualist, he doesn't quarrel with anybody. Tishtati Anandavaridhau. Without any quarrel or without any conflict or contradiction, he dwells in the ocean of Ananda, ocean of fullness, which is his own nature and which is nature of everything. Fullness alone is. He is fullness, everything is fullness, and therefore, tishtati anandavardhahu. He abides or he dwells or remains, remains abiding in the ocean of Ananda. Tarhi vivekinah nischayah kidrishah. Alright, then what is the nischaya? What is the ascertained conclusion? Or what is what's the knowledge of the viveki, of a discriminating person? In akanshayamaha. In this akanksha, the question is replied in the verse 75. Maya megho jaganniram, Maya megho jaganniram, Varshatve yatha tatha, Varshatve yatha tatha, Chidakashasya no hanihi, Chidakashasya no hanihi, Navala bhaiti sthitihi, Navala bhaiti sthitihi. Says this wise man, says this. Maya megah jaganniram varshatu eshah yatha tatha. Eshah Maya megah. This cloud of the nature of Maya. Maya, the projecting power, is compared to the clouds, megah. Jaganniram varshatu. Let it rain the water in the form of, so let it pour the rain in the form of this creation. So it is a cloud that sends forth the rain. So also the cloud of the Maya sent forth the rain in the form of this creation, in the form of this Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, all of it. Let this Maya create the appearance of this creation and therefore create the appearance of Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. Chidakashasya no hanihi. When the clouds send forth the rain, what effect does it have on the space? How the space remains unaffected. Let the clouds keep on sending forth the rain, let them pour the rain, just as by pouring the rain, the akasha or the space is not affected in any way. And so also, let the cloud of Maya keep on sending forth or pouring the rain in the form of this creation. But then, Chidakashasya no hanihi. This word used is Chidakasha. We have been reading the word Chidabhasa. Abhasa means appearance. Chidabhasa means appearance of Chit. But the word here is Chidakasha. Akasha means space. Chidakasha means the space, the consciousness that is like the space. How space is all pervasive. How space is formless. How space is without attributes. And so also the Chit or the awareness like the space. Unconditioned, boundless. So in the boundless awareness which is compared to the space, let in boundless awareness that is like the space, let this cloud of Maya keep on sending forth the rain of this creation, etc. Na hani va na labha. There is no hani, there is nothing to be lost, there is nothing to be gained, there is no effect whatever on the Chidakasha, on the awareness which is comparable to the space. Just as the space has nothing to lose, nothing to gain, has no effect whatever on account of the rain that is sent forth by the clouds. So the space watches, space illumines. See, clouds are supported by the space. The rain also goes on within the space. So how the space supports the clouds? How the space supports the phenomenon of rain? In spite of supporting it, it remains totally unaffected by it. That's the beauty of it. Lord Krishna in the 9th chapter gives the example of the space and the air or the wind. Yatha kasha sthito nityam vayuhu sarvatra go mahan. Tatha sarvani bhutani matsthani tyubhaya. Lord Krishna says, just as the vayu or the wind, space supports the vayu. Space itself is motionless. The wind which is supported by the space is all moving. The space is changeless, motionless, all pervasive. The wind is moving, changing. So all the changes in the movement and the storms that occur in the wind, how they totally leave the space unaffected. And so also here the illustration that is given is how the space in the form of awareness supports this Maya and supports the creation of the Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara, which is comparable to rain sent forth by the clouds. In spite of supporting everything, in spite of supporting all the changes, how the Chidakasha or the consciousness, which is like the space, how limitless consciousness remains unaffected or unchanged. Chidakashasya no hanihi navalabha. Who is Chidakasha? The Kutastha. Who is Kutastha? The self. Who is self? The I. So this is what the wise man says. I am Kutastha. I am Chidabhasa. I am the limitless awareness. In me alone, this whole show by the Maya is going on. In me alone, the Maya creates a show of creation, sustenance, dissolution, of birth, death, and all the changes. So for the wise man, it is like watching a whole show and enjoying it. Just as you enjoy a movie, knowing fully well that it is mithya. And so also the wise man enjoys the whole show of the Maya, knowing that I am Chidakasha. It is I upon whom the Maya is centered. I am the very locus or substratum of this show, and me it is going on without affecting me. How any storms or any waves or any breakers, they leave the water unaffected in the ocean. How all this rain and all the phenomena going on in the space, rains and storms going on in the space, leave the space unaffected. Similarly also, this phenomena of creation, sustenance, dissolution, and whatever is going on, all of these leave me, the Chidakasha, unaffected. Chidabhasa is Jiva, Chidakasha is Kutastha. Chidabhasa, appearance, that is Jiva. Chidakasha, that which is reflected. So Chidakasha, the limitless consciousness, that is Kutastha. And that remains ever unaffected. That is the last verse of this chapter. In the last verse here actually now, Granthabhyasa phalamaha. What is the phalam? What's the result of Grantha Abhyasa? When you study this text, this particular chapter, what is the result of study of this text? Or what is the result of dwelling and contemplating upon this text? That is said in the verse 76. Imam kutastha-dīpam yaha imam kutastha-dīpam yaha anusandhatte nirantaram swayam kutastha-rūpena dīpyate sau nirantaram imam kutastha-dīpam. This chapter known as Kutastha-dīpa, yaha nirantaram anusandhatte. Nirantaram, constantly. Anusandhatte, one who dwells upon it, one who reflects upon it, one who deliberates upon it, contemplates upon it. So one who constantly deliberates upon this chapter known as Kutastha-dīpa. Deepa means a lamp. Lamp means that which illumines. This chapter is named Kutastha-dīpa. The lamp that illumines Kutastha, which illumines the nature of Kutastha, illumines the nature of self. So this particular chapter of 75 verses or 76 verses, which illumines the nature of Kutastha, one who constantly dwells upon that, reflects upon that, contemplates upon that. Swayam Kutastha-rūpena dīpyate. Swayam Deep himself shines. How does he shine? Kutastha-rūpena. He shines as the very Kutastha. Kutastha is the self, which is self-revealing, self-shining, and therefore he ever shines as the Kutastha, as the changeless self. Asau nirantaram, he also always shines. So one who constantly dwells upon the chapter, or the theme of the chapter, also ultimately gains the knowledge of self that is Kutastha, and always abides in that knowledge. So that is the fruit. This is called the Phalashruti. It is customary in all the texts in India to always give us a result of the study of the text. Even if you repeat Gita, they will tell you what is it that you get as a result of repetition, what results come. And similarly also, what is the result of study of this particular chapter. At the end of every chapter, the author makes it a point to tell us what will be the result of study of the text. You study the chapter called Kutastha-dīpa, you yourself know yourself as Kutastha, and you always shine as Kutastha, as a changeless self. So this is how the chapter is concluded. It started, if you remember, with an illustration of our wall, famous wall, which is illumined by two sources of light. One source of light is the sunlight, which illumines the wall in general. And there is another source of light, which is the light reflected in the mirror. Again, same sunlight reflected in the mirror and directed to the wall, so that also illumines the wall. So it is one sunlight alone which illumines the wall in twofold way, one in general and one in particular. Except that the reflected light is a concentrated light, and therefore that area where the reflected light falls is brighter. And therefore, when you look at that bright reflected light, you do not see that general light which is there in the background, you miss that. So how do you see that general light? Suppose there are several mirrors, thus with patches of reflected light upon the wall, then between Sandhi, meaning between these patches, you can see that general light. Or if all the mirrors are turned away, then in absence of the reflected lights, you can see the general light. Similarly also within ourselves, our own self also is illumined by the twofold light of consciousness. One is the consciousness that shines as Kutastha, as the very self that witnesses, that is changeless, and that provides the existence and awareness to this body and to our own self. Another is what we call Chidabhasa, or the light of consciousness reflected in the buddhi, reflected in the mind, where the mind is comparable to a mirror. I should say every thought of the mind. What is mind? Nothing but the flow of thoughts, also called vritti. So every thought form is comparable to a mirror, and every thought therefore reflects that consciousness. Thus we also have consciousness illumining ourselves in twofold ways. One is Kutastha, that is what we call the general illumination. Another is the Chidabhasa, which is what we call the reflected or particular illumination. Just because the reflected light is concentrated, therefore it is brighter. And so also the light reflected in the buddhi or Chidabhasa is light brighter. And therefore, when we look at the Chidabhasa, we miss that general light. We miss the light that is unqualified light, is missed on account of the qualified light. Say that the sunlight illumining the wall is unqualified light. So wall is, you may say, illumined by unqualified light of the sun and the qualified light of the reflection. And so also we are illumined by the unqualified light of the Kutastha, the changeless self, and the qualified light of the self reflected in the buddhi called Chidabhasa. So when our attention is on the thought, then that Chidabhasa, because it is qualified light, therefore that attracts our attention, and that is what we normally take as a self. So how do we know there is Kutastha? How do we know there is unqualified light on the wall? You have to look between the two patches of reflected light, or you have to look when the reflected lights are absent. And so how do we know the presence of Kutastha within our own self? You have to look between the patches of reflection, meaning you have to look between the two thought forms. Every thought form is like a mirror reflecting the light, but what obtains between the two thought forms is unqualified light. Or when all the thoughts are absent, just as in deep sleep state, in a state of soon or unconsciousness, or in what is known as samadhi, when all the thoughts are stopped, that time, what is the light that illumines? The unqualified light, that is Kutastha, that alone illumines. And thus, we must know that twofold illumination is there. The various vrittis or thought forms arising in our mind, like desire, like anger, like happiness, unhappiness, all the various thoughts which arise in our mind, all of them reflect that Kutastha. The illustration there was given was Taptayaf Pindavata, like a red hot iron ball. How it glows with the fire. How an iron ball, it glows with the fire. That similarly also, every thought glows. So how the iron ball shines, it is red, it is glowing in redness. And so also, every thought form is comparable to that hot iron ball. Every thought form glows in the light of awareness. So awareness and thought form, both of them are, the combination of both is called this jiva, the Chidabhasa, and every thought glows in the reflection of awareness. And we have to look between the two thoughts or in the absence of the thought. And this is the primary theme that is presented here. What is the nature of Kutastha? What is the nature of unqualified light of awareness with yourself? That which illumines the thought, that which illumines the reflection of thought, and that which illumines the object of thought. A thought has an object, and the thought reflects the consciousness. So that which reflects the object and the thought and the reflected consciousness, that which illumines the object, the thought and the reflected consciousness, that illuminating principle is Kutastha. Why do we call it Kutastha? Because it is changeless. How do you say it is changeless? Because it is in the light of this changeless Kutastha that you see all the changes. You see that the Chidabhasa, that reflected consciousness in the thought, it undergoes changes. When a thought is born, that Chidabhasa also is born. As long as the thought remains, Chidabhasa remains. When the thought subsides, Chidabhasa also subsides. So Chidabhasa is the one, the reflected consciousness or ego, the jiva is the one that is subject to birth, death and changes. Whereas, how do you know that birth, death and changes? In light of that, in light of Kutastha, which illumines all the changes, which itself is changeless. And so this is how we will dwell. You can meditate with the help of this chapter, with the prakriya or the method. So this chapter provides the method. Every chapter in Paṃcadaśī provides a different model to dwell upon the same principle. So to dwell upon the same Kutastha of the self, this is the model that is provided in this particular chapter. And this Kutastha alone is Brahma. It is Satyam, it is truth, it is Satchidananda, it is Tattva existence, and it is truth because it is substratum of the whole creation which is unreal. It is Chit because it illumines the whole creation. It is Ananda because Parama Premaspadam, it is the locus of my unqualified love. So unqualified existence, unqualified awareness, unqualified love, that's the nature of this Kutastha. And in this manner, may the student dwell upon the Kutastha. May you understand that the very same Kutastha is presented by Maya as Ishvara the creator. That Kutastha is presented by Maya as Jiva the individual. Same Kutastha presented by Maya as a Jagat. So Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, all of these are the presentations of Maya of the same Kutastha. All of them are mithya or unreal, and Kutastha alone is real. Let the Maya send forth the rain of projections in the form of Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara. These projections in any way do not have any effect at all on the Kutastha. Kutastha ever remains the same, unaffected, changeless. He is Asanga. Asanga means unconnected, unaffected, untainted by all the show of the Maya that is going on constantly. And this is the way the student should dwell upon the self, dwell upon Kutastha. So if you keep doing this, then you see the nature of the self, your own self is Kutastha. And you see also how everything else is unreal or mithya, in which case one remains unaffected by mithya. And then one dwells in Kutastha, one shines as Kutastha. This is the result of constantly deliberation upon this chapter. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.